Tēnā koutou katoa, no mai, hara mai, piki mai ki Waipapa tau matarau, ki te whanganui a tara, ko whakawhaiti mai ki runga I tēnei kaupapa, ka nui taku mihi ki a koutou katoa, nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Hei whakatimatanga I tēnei hui, I tēnei pō, me kariki a tātou. Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa paunamu te moana, hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai tātou I a tātou katoa, haumie, huie, tā ki e. Kia ora everyone and welcome to the University of Auckland's Information Evening. Ko Taylor Mariner taku ingoa. My name is Taylor and I am an advisor in the Faculty of Arts and Education at the University of Auckland, and I'm very happy to welcome you all here this evening. One of the big decisions ahead of you is obviously going to be, what do I want to study? But you'll also be thinking, where do I want to study? That's an equally important question, considering you'll spend the next 3 to 4 years there at least. So wherever you choose, this place is going to become your new home, it's going to become your community, and it's going to be a huge part of your experience as a student. So for those of you who are considering joining us at the University of Auckland next year, that means you'll be packing up all your belongings, you'll be making the big journey up to Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, which is very exciting. Because moving to the largest and most diverse city in the country comes with some pretty awesome benefits. So I want to take a moment just to talk about our wonderful city of Auckland. So being that it's a city that's so diverse, it's a place where the world's people and cultures and communities come together, and it's a great way to really broaden your world and your thinking while you're there as well. It's also a place where there's always something going on, whether that be festivals or food or music or sports or cultural events or the arts or just heading to the beach. There's always something to do, and it gives you a really great balance or harmony between your study and your lifestyle as well. And lastly, being that we are the country's central business district, you will have access to a huge range of career and networking opportunities as well. Now, as the university, we are very connected to central industries because we understand how important it is for our students to get early exposure and connection to the industry. So one of the ways in which we do that is we regularly run career and networking events that are not only attended by university alumni, but also industry experts as well. So our aim for you, or our goal, is that by the time you've graduated, you've already made some pretty solid connections and you may even have your foot in the door somewhere. So now I'm going to walk us through our faculties and all of the many programs that we have on offer, including some very recently announced changes and additions to our programs. So we do have some brand new programs on offer for you next year in 2027. So I'll walk us through what those are. First up, we have the Faculty of Arts and Education. So this is the home of humanities, of social sciences, of people, languages, culture, history, creativity, and education. The flagship program here is our Bachelor of Arts with over 35 different majors that you can choose from. And this is the largest arts offering in the country. Also home to the Bachelor of Communication and the Bachelor of Global Studies, as well as our creative programs, the Bachelor of Fine Arts, the Bachelor of Dance, and the Bachelor of Music, and also to all of our education and teaching programs as well, including the Bachelor of Sport, Health, and Physical Education. The Faculty of Business and Economics is home to 2 really future-focused programs. So, as we know, the world around us is constantly and rapidly changing, and these programs have been designed with that in mind so that our students are prepared and work-ready. So, firstly, the Bachelor of Commerce has 10 different specialisations that you can choose from. And our Bachelor of Property has been designed to make you a property industry expert. So with both of these programs, they are the closest thing that you'll get to the real world of business and property while you're still a student. Next up, the Faculty of Engineering and Design. This faculty is all about problem solving. It looks at how do we bring together science and technology in order to actually innovate and improve the spaces around us. So it is here that you can explore programs such as the Bachelor of Architectural Studies, the Bachelor of Design, and the Bachelor of Urban Planning. And it's home to the flagship program, our Bachelor of Engineering, which has 10 different engineering specialisations that you can choose from, which is, again, the largest engineering offering in the country. The Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences is by far our largest faculty in terms of the sheer number of students that we get through our doors. So this is not just where doctors are made, but it's where a range of health specialists are grown and nurtured as well. And we are very excited to announce a brand new program on offer for 2027, our Bachelor of Biomedical Science. Now, this used to sit as a specialisation, but it now exists as its own standalone program. We've also reimagined the Bachelor of Health Sciences, offering 2 new majors for you to choose from. Now, these 2 programs, alongside the Bachelor of Nursing, are the 3 programs that you can enter into straight out of high school as a school leaver. However, if you were interested in pursuing one of our clinical pathways, these being the Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, or the Bachelor of Medical Imaging, the Bachelor of Pharmacy, or the Bachelor of Optometry, you will firstly complete 1 year in an approved program before pathwaying into one of those clinical pathways. Next up, we have the Faculty of Science, which is home to 2 power-packed programs, including a brand new program, the Bachelor of Psychology, which is on offer from 2027. So psychology will still exist as a major within the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Arts for those students who are interested in pairing their psychology interest with another major or interest. However, for those students who are solely focused on psychology, you can now do that through this brand new program. And of course, we have the Bachelor of Science, which has 25 different majors and specialisations that you can choose from, including 6 new health-related majors. And these can also act as a pathway into those clinical programs previously mentioned. And lastly, we have the Faculty of Law. So for those of you who are passionate about advocating for others or standing up for what you believe in, or maybe you're really good at making arguments to your parents or your teachers, you might actually make a really good lawyer and could consider the Bachelor of Laws at the University of Auckland. Now, I've just ran us through a very top level of all of our programs, but of course within those programs there is a huge range of majors or specialisations that you can choose from. Now, some of our programs have a single major, some of our programs allow you to do multiple majors, some of our programs have specialisations. And if you are someone who has 2 very distinct or different interests and you want to pursue them at the same time, you can of course do that through a conjoint program. A conjoint is where you'll do 2 undergraduate programs at the same time, ultimately saving you a lot of money and a lot of time in the long run. And I want to also acknowledge the recent additions or changes to our programs within the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences and the Faculty of Science. I know that for those of you who are interested in those programs, you might have a few questions regarding these changes or additions, so please do have a chat with our faculty advisors who are here tonight. They can walk you through those changes and answer any questions that you might have. So, with your program in mind, we're now going to talk about entry pathway. Entry pathway being the things that you need to complete so that you can join us at the University of Auckland. Now, we have multiple pathways into the university, and that is because we recognise that not everyone who is joining us is starting from the same place. So we do have the undergraduate targeted admission scheme, or UTAS for short, because it is a bit of a tongue twister. So this is for our recognised equity groups, those who are Māori, Pacifica, low socioeconomic or from refugee backgrounds. UTAS reserves a number of spots in our programs for those students who have met university entrance but haven't quite met the other guaranteed requirements. We also have alternative pathways. So this is where you may have just missed out on meeting the guaranteed entry requirements for your chosen program. So firstly, we will start you off in a semester of another program, and then we will pathway you into your desired program. Okay, and that's called an alternative pathway. However, the simplest and most direct route into the university is through the guaranteed entry pathway. So that is the pathway that I want you all to be aiming towards and focusing on, and that is the one that we are going to break down tonight. So when we break down the guaranteed entry pathway, it is made up of these 5 components. Now, for most of you, you'll just be aiming to meet the first 3, because the last 2, subject and additional requirements, are only necessary for certain programs, but I will talk you through what those are. So, university entrance, or UE. Now, for NCEA, this is met through a combination of literacy and numeracy credits, as well as 14 credits and 3 approved university subjects. For our Cambridge International students, this is gained through a minimum of 120 points on the tariff and minimum grades in English and mathematics subjects, as well as 3 different syllabus groups. And for IB, this is gained through a minimum of 24 points and minimum grades in English and mathematics subjects. So for all of our students here, especially if you are in years 13 and year 12, you should, at this stage in your academic journey, be somewhat or very much familiar with how to gain university entrance through your curriculum. However, if this is the first time you're seeing this or you're not quite sure what this all means, I strongly urge you to start having conversations with your career advisor or with your dean so that you can make sure that you are on track to meet university entrance. Next up, we have rank score. Now, this requirement is unique to the University of Auckland. All of our programs have a rank score because that is our way of ensuring that our students are best prepared for the programs that they're entering into. So for NCEA, how we calculate this is based on your best 80 credits at level 3, and we allocate points to the grade. So for 1 achieved credit, that's worth 2 points. For 1 merit credit, that's worth 3 points, and 1 excellence credit is worth 4 points. So, for example, if your best 80 credits that you got at level 3, you gain them all at achieved, you would have a rank score of 160, that's correct. And with a rank score of 160, you could enter into any of the programs within the 150 rank score range. You're also pretty close to that 165, and I'll explain why that's important in a moment. For our Cambridge International students, again, we allocate points to your grades of your 6 best subject units. So, for example, if your 6 best subject units you gained in a D grade at AS or A level, you would have a rank score of 180. And with a rank score of 180, you could enter into any of the programs within the 170 range down. And for our IB students, this is a little bit more simpler. Your rank score will be your total IB point score. So if you got 27 points in IB, your rank score would be 27. And with a rank score of 27, you could enter into any of the programs within that range and down. Now, for all of our students, we obviously want you to be aiming for that guaranteed rank score. However, if you find yourself with a rank score that sits just below the guaranteed range, we recommend that you apply for that program anyway, because we may still consider you for the program, but it will be based upon capacity and not guaranteed. Next up, we have the academic English language requirement. Now, this is a requirement to ensure that you have an academic level of English. And is different from the UE literacy requirement. So for NCEA, you would have met your UE literacy and have a minimum of 17 credits in English at level 2 and or level 3. For our Cambridge International students, you would have met the UE literacy standard and have a minimum of a D grade in an English subject at AS or A level. And for IB, you would have met the UE literacy standard and be in receipt of 26 points. Now, again, for all of our students, you want to aim to meet this requirement while you're still in school. However, some of our programs allow for students who haven't met this requirement in high school to meet it in their first year of university. However, that's not the case for all of our programs. So again, if you are looking at this and you're not quite sure how you're tracking, again, have a conversation with your career advisor or your dean just to see where you're at. Alrighty, next up is subject requirements. As I mentioned before, this is only for certain programs. So the programs on screen here have subject requirements. These are, of course, subjects that we require you to be taking at level 3. So, for example, with engineering, we do require you to be taking physics and calculus at level 3. So if you are interested in one of these programs, do head to the requirements section on the website and familiarise yourself with that requirement, because there could be a certain number of credits that you need to gain in those subjects as well. And lastly, we have additional requirements. Again, only the programs on screen here have additional requirements, and these are just things that we need to see before you are admitted into the program. So for architecture, we need to see a portfolio of your work. For music and dance, we require an audition, and we used to make you come all the way up to Auckland to audition in front of us. However, these days we're pretty happy with a virtual audition if you can't make it up to Auckland. And for education, we require police vetting and an interview, among other things as well. So, with all that being said and done, and have you met all of these components, you would have guaranteed your entry into your chosen program. Cool. I'm now going to invite the next speaker on stage.
Thanks, Taylor. Go on, give her a paki. Alrighty. Kia ora everybody, my name is Natalie. I'm the Law and Business Advisor here at Waipapa Taumataro, and my job tonight is to lovingly scare you. Fun job. A little bit about me. My university journey wasn't as straightforward as I thought it was going to be. In year 13, I was head girl, and I was in line for ducks, and I got my year 13 way before exam season all sorted, and so I thought, exams? Not for me. I don't have to bother. Let me tell you, I paid for it later. I did not pass any of my exams, and then I got to my first year of uni. I chose a random degree, and my exams did not go well. That caused me to pivot, do some self-exploration, and jump over a few things. And I have come to you today as a graduate of a Bachelor of Arts majoring in Psych and Sociology after pivoting a few times, and I'm in a job that I absolutely adore. So I encourage you to whakarongo mai for this bit. All right? So what you're looking at here is a first-year university course. This is Law 121G, Law and Society. So this is the very first law course in a law degree that you will take. Now you can see here there's a final exam worth 70% and an internal worth 30%, meaning if you don't pass that exam, you do not pass the paper. Could also look slightly friendlier. Okay, so you have Stats 101. This is a really common paper that you'll take in lots of different degrees with different majors. This course is used. Now, it's 50% exam, 50% internal. So you could technically pass the paper with just your internals. But if you didn't pass the external, it's not the flashiest grade, is it? Now, why is this important? Well, we've looked at the data, and data doesn't lie, okay? So first year university grade distribution versus external credits. What does that mean? We looked at first year success rates and the amount of credits that those students came in with from their externals. Now, this is an NCA pool, but I think the learning could apply across the different qualifications. So what we're looking at here is different grades and passing rates based on externals. An A, B, C, that's a pass. A D is a did not pass, so we don't want that one. If we look at the bottom line, we're looking at did not pass any externals in year 13, okay? Those students who came with us with no external credits, they had a 65% chance of success in their first year, and I would hazard a pretty solid guess that they've engaged in some kind of support service, okay? So there's still success there, and you can still work towards it, but what we want is these top two. So up to 20 external credits, they had an 81% chance of success in their first year. But when we jump all the way to more than 20 external credits, what we see is something really cool. You have a 92% chance of success in your first year with a way higher distribution in your Bs and A grades. To put that in perspective, if you want to go on a student exchange, which many of our students do, you need to be in the B range. If you want to pursue any of our clinical pathways, or you want to be feeling really solid in your studies, you need to be in the A range, right? You want to really be pushing yourself. Now, when we look at this, what this tells us is that the more external credits that you have, the higher chance of success you have. And it's because you are competing and not participating. And I do not mean with each other, I mean against yourself. Okay? So externals are important. If you take time to teach yourself how to study and what kind of studier you are now, it will pay off later. So I've learnt throughout my many years, because I'm so old and wise, that I need to be fiddling with something to listen to somebody. If they're going to talk to me for more than 5 minutes and I'm not tutoing, I won't hear them. Right? I learnt that about myself at university. I also learnt that writing does almost nothing for me. But if I can talk about it and have a conversation, amazing. So I encourage you to think about what kind of learner you are. Figure that out now so you don't have to figure that out later. You want to push yourself 1% every day. Find out where your bar is. Maybe you're not passing. You're pushing for achieves. You're doing merits. Now you're pushing for excellences. You're looking for a level endorsement. You're looking for a new hobby that's going to hone your soft skills. Whatever that 1% looks like, find it and push it. Because if you push 1% every day now, you will not have to push 50, 80% when you cross the line into university like I did. It will pay off. And when you do push yourself, when you do compete, you could be rewarded. So we have a huge reward pool and scholarship funds for our first year students at the University of Auckland, and a big pool overall. So one thing to note is that scholarships do not stop when you walk in the door. They continue throughout your studies. So make sure you have some kind of alarm set up on your phone and that you're like, oh, start of the semester, what scholarships are coming up that I can apply for? But tonight we're here to talk about school leaver scholarships, okay? These are the ones. These are the big ones, and you can apply for them using one form. Okay, so we have some very academic-based scholarships and some that are a mix of academics and who you are and what you've achieved. Now, our big school leaver scholarships come with the understanding that it will cover your first year of accommodation plus some of your course fees. So you need to apply for accommodation as part of your scholarships application. We cannot process your scholarships application without applying for accommodation, so that's a must, okay? We also at the bottom there you see faculty, program and specific awards. So these are our non-school leaver based ones. They're applied for through a different form. So they might be based on your subject, your program, your demographic, and what you need to do is you need to apply for them individually. So some of these ones open later in the year after your school leaver ones are closed. So I encourage you to jump on the website, look up the program you're interested in under the scholarship search bar, and things will come up for you to apply for. You should apply for anything and everything. Please do not take yourself out of the running. Put yourself in the running and let us decide if the scholarship is right for you. Apply anyway. So applications are open now. They opened on the 20th of May. I would expect anyone who's in Year 13 currently to have already looked at the form at least and have an idea of what is required for them to fill it out. If you need support, or anybody should want support really, tune into our scholarships webinar. That will be on June 30th, and I do not see enough phones up scanning this QR code, so if we could do that quickly. Awesome. So a big thing with scholarships too is that in Year 12, if you are currently in Year 12, you're about to embark on it, that is what we're looking at for your academics, okay? So all of that academic success that you've had in Year 12 is going to contribute towards your scholarship application in Year 13. Now, scholarships do close on the 12th of August at 11:59 a.m., so right in the middle of the day, not the middle of the night. And you want to give your endorsers enough time to endorse you. So please don't do it last minute because they won't have time to do their part. All right, that's all from me tonight. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. If you'd like to chat about anything that I've talked about so far, I would encourage you to talk to any of our advisors that are here tonight. This is knowledge that we all share and we're willing to share with you. Thanks for having me, and I'd now like to invite up Stephanie.
Stephanie Harris. I'm the Manager of Accommodation Solutions. So I'm going to take you through a quick overview of our accommodation at the University of Auckland. We know that deciding what to study is important, and equally as important is deciding where you're going to live when you study. Our accommodation is based in our City and Grafton campus. So whilst we have campuses across the Upper North Island, most of your first year courses or your main courses will be at the City and Grafton campus. One thing I will point out is that despite them having different campus names, so City and Grafton, it's about a 5 to 10 minute walk between the two. So first year students, if you're thinking about studying medicine, you will have courses across both City and Grafton. You can get from one lecture to the other within 5 to 10 minutes walk. So they are really close together in the city, in the central city in Auckland. So I'll take you through our first year school leaver halls. So at the University of Auckland, we have 2,000 beds specifically for you. So our first year school leavers who are aged 16 to about 19. We also have 2,500 beds for students in their second, third, fourth and fifth year. So you can stay with us for your entire journey at the University of Auckland. So I'll take you through our first year school leaver halls. First up we have University Hall Towers. So University Hall Towers is the home of the home of the Hawks, the Grizzly Bears, sorry. It is one of our smaller residences. It is a dorm-style residence, so you will have your single beds on floors with common spaces and then your shared kitchen areas and social areas. It's about a 5-minute walk from campus and it's right opposite Elam Arts School. We have Waiparuru Hall. So Waiparuru Hall is one of our newer halls. It's one of our most popular halls and it is a big hall. So it's got just under 800 students in single rooms. This is also our residence where we have a small number of ensuite rooms. So if you are looking for a room with your own bathroom, they are at this residence. Please note that these are very limited and they are offered on a needs-first basis. So if you have medical or accessibility needs, do note them in your application because that will be considered when we're looking at offering those ensuite rooms. I will note that across all of our residences we have what is called fully contained bathrooms. So they're not the old dorm-style bathrooms that you'd think of in the old halls your parents may have stayed at. They're fully self-contained, so behind a door they all have their own shower, changing area, toilet and sink, so they're not stalls anymore. Waiparuru also has a new style of catering. So our other halls have the more traditional style of catering. So they've got the service for breakfast, lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Waiparuru has what we call destination dining. So it has a number of different food options, like a fancy food court that will stagger open throughout the day. So it does have a few more food options for you. What I will say is if you have any special dietary needs, I would recommend looking at one of our smaller halls. So whilst Waiparuru on the face of it, you think, oh, they've got lots of options for my specific needs in terms of food. Our other halls, the chefs can meet with you. They can make sure that the meals that you're being served are meeting those specific dietary needs. Waiparuru being a bigger hall with so many service stations can't offer that. So I would keep that in mind if you do have specific dietary needs. Our catering we've just got new caterers in, we've got great chefs at every hall. If you do want to see an example of what's being served across our halls, have a look online, search UOA Campus Dining, and you'll be able to see what's on offer at every one of our halls every day of the week, all year. And there's also some great FAQs around our dietary needs, any food restrictions you have. You can talk to our chefs before you come and live with us. So have a look on our website if you'd like a bit more insight into what the food is like. Next up we have O'Rourke Hall. So O'Rourke Hall might be one that your parents stayed at. It's one of our oldest. It's just undergone a full refurbishment. So it is a beautiful hall now. It's the closest to the city campus, so 5 minutes walk, and it's got a slightly different style of living, and it is pod style. So instead of hallways with the rooms coming off, it's pods of 4 or 5 bedrooms which share a bathroom and a common area, and there's about 5 or 6 pods on each floor. So it's a bit more community-minded, familial, and it's a much smaller hall. So if you're looking for possibly a tighter knit community, I would recommend O'Rourke Hall. O'Rourke Hall also hosts our Pacifica communities, and we have our rainbow pods too. And then we have Grafton Hall. So as I mentioned at the start, Grafton Hall does get a lot of medicine students, but if you are studying medicine, you'll be studying across Grafton and city campuses, 5 to 10 minutes walk between the two. Grafton Hall is really embedded into the Grafton community. There's a lot of green space there. It's home to our kaupapa Māori, so our Māori floor there, which you can select if you would want to be part of in your application. And then we also have a self-catered option. So all of the options all of the halls that I've mentioned previously, they are fully catered, so 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. University Hall Apartments is our new first-year school leaver hall. for students who would like to cater for themselves or opt into a partial or full meal plan. So it's apartment style, 4 or 5 bedrooms per apartment, and if you want to cook for yourself, it's got a full kitchen in there. You do need to be 18 or over to stay at this residence. So as of move-in day 2027, or whichever year you're coming, you need to have turned 18 to stay in this residence, and that's because we're under the Pastoral Care Code, and we recognise that for our under 18 students we need to provide a different layer of support, and they are required to be in catered accommodation. A really great feature of life at the University of Auckland is Hiwa, which is our brand new recreation centre. And this is in the middle of the accommodation presentation because as an accommodation student, you get free membership to the recreation centre. So anyone staying in our halls of residence, our 2nd, 3rd, 4th year accommodation, you have free access to Hiwa. If you're not staying in our halls, that's fine too. Hiwa costs $250 a year, which is amazing for a facility right in the city campus, which has a swimming pool, a dive well, a rooftop court, rock climbing, squash courts, a whole lot of hangout zones. So it's a really, really amazing top-class facility, and a lot of our clubs are operating out of this amazing facility here. So why live in university accommodation? You don't have to live with us. We house 2,000 first-year school leaver students, and you need to think, why would I want to stay in accommodation? What we offer is 24/7 pastoral care. What we offer is community engagement programs. It's a safety net and a chance for you to really build that community as you're establishing yourself in the University of Auckland. We are really linked into support services at the University of Auckland, so medical, health and counselling. We have academic mentors on site. We have 24/7 staff. We've got student staff living on site. So it's that support network around you. And we've found that that is really helpful in the academic success of first years. So when we're looking at the data, we find that 46% of our school leavers are achieving an A grade compared to only 35% of those who are not living in our first year halls. There's some more data as well. So 94% of our first years passed compared to only 90% of non-first year students. So it really shows that getting to live in this living, learning environment, being linked into academic support, having a community around you is really great for your academic potential and your academic success at the University of Auckland. We also specifically see this in our Māori and Pacific students, so they have really high success rates when they get to come and live with us. So, I would recommend, if you can, a Manawa open day is coming up. It will be promoted a wee bit later in this session, but our accommodation is all open for tours on the day. So you can walk up at any point in the day where you've got a bit of free time and have a tour through our accommodation. But we also have our virtual tour suite online now. So if you'd like to take yourself on a wee look around our halls and residences, you can just pop onto our website from the comfort of home and have a look through and see what that vibe is like, what that's like, and what it could be like for you living in the University of Auckland next year. Key dates for accommodation. So our applications open on the 1st of August for the following year. So 2027 applications will open 1st of August. The date that's not on there but has been mentioned is the scholarship closing date, so the 12th of August. So you've only got from the 1st to the 12th of August to apply for accommodation as well as scholarship. Otherwise, you've got through until the 30th of September. Now, I recognise you might not get to have not got to come and tour through our accommodation yet, and Manawa Mai, our open day, is after that. Put in your accommodation application anyway. You can go in and edit your preference. If you've applied for Waiparuru but you come on a tour and you think, actually, I'd really like to live in O'Rourke, you can just jump online and change your preference after that closing date. So there's no worries there. Just make sure you get your accommodation application in by that scholarship close date. The first week of October is when we do our first round offers. We offer every single bed we have, and that's in line with every university in New Zealand, and we will have the same due date for our accommodation offers. So you should have all of your options on the table so you can make the choice that's right for you. There's no competition there. You decide what's right for you. From October onwards, we will then do rolling offers. So as people withdraw or decline, we will keep backfilling the beds that we have available. Jan 17th is just an important date if you choose to withdraw, and then move-in day for 2027 is February 21st. Application tips. So you're welcome to come and speak to me after this if you want to have a chat around priority selection criteria or anything like that. These are a few tips that I can give you. Make sure that you're applying as the right application type. So if it's your first year in accommodation, make sure you're applying as a first-year high school leaver. You can only select one residence as preference, so whilst other universities might take a top 3, we recognise that there's likely one that you really want to live in. So we will do our best to offer you that one. If we can't, we might make you an alternative offer. You can choose to accept that or decline it and wait on the wait list for your preferred residence. I will say that we're getting a large number of applications for accommodation, so if you receive an offer, I would think very carefully about accepting that, even if it's not your number one preferred residence. Every hall and residence that we have offers the same great experience. It is what you make it, so I would recommend really thinking about accepting that offer. If you do have any medical, any accessibility, any individual needs, please note it on your application. This will not inhibit your application, it will not limit it. It just means that we are making sure we are offering you accommodation that is right for you and setting you up for success. In terms of priority selection criteria, we have that listed on our website. We do look at your fast track offers, so if you have signalled to the university, hey, I'm really keen on coming here, we will try and prioritise that application, but have a look on our website for that too. We do not need CCRFs, so there's no common confidential reference forms for your accommodation, so we are just looking at your application and likely your Year 12 grades. That's all from me, but I will be outside after this, so do come pop by if you've got any questions about accommodation, and I'll pass on to Faye.
Hello. Fantastic. Thanks, Steph. So kia ora koutou, as Steph mentioned, as well as my name badge implies. Ko Faye aha, my name is Faye, and I'm a University of Auckland Schools and Community Engagement Advisor. So, the University of Auckland, Waipapa Tamataro. No surprise here, as the name itself implies, we are a university, which is an academic institution. So, of course, lectures are a really important part of what you are doing when you're with us. But they're not the only thing. We have spaces and places and communities and services designed to ensure that your time spent with us is not just a time spent studying, but rather a university life worth living. Well beyond just those lectures that we do encourage you to attend, though. So, for example, some of the things we have on offer might be our 400 student-led clubs or associations, so you can find a great sense of community no matter your interest area, be it in something like baking or barbecuing or robotics. You will have a like-minded community to connect with and engage with. Or you could do something like engage with some of our facilities. For example, we have our Unleash space, which gives you the ability to engage with state-of-the-art technology, and you can also get taught how to use things like laser cutters and 3D printers and sewing machines, so you can get all your creative juices flowing, whether it be for your course, your personal life, or as part of a club. It's a really incredible opportunity. We also have our Center of Innovation Entrepreneurship. If you have any entrepreneurial ideas or you're business-minded, you can get talks from CEOs, career advice workshops. We have the Velocity program, which allows you to partake in entrepreneurial ideas and competitions and potentially enter a challenge to win up to $100,000 to start your own startup. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot on offer. Yes, there are incredible lectures. I loved my lectures. I loved my learning. Learning is always a fun thing to do, but it's so much more than that, and make sure you're engaged in them. Speaking of more than that, life does happen, and that is for both the good and the bad. And when you're struggling, and if you're struggling, we don't want you to do it alone. So we have got tons and tons of support services on offer to ensure that you don't have to struggle on your own. Make sure you reach out for help or connect with one of our teams. We have got plenty of support services. We've got a whole web page dedicated to this. I do encourage you to take a look at it. I am not a fan of reading off lists on a slide, so I will leave you a little bit of admin to hop onto that web page and look at more details. But just to quickly give you a couple of examples, we've got confidential counseling services, we've got health provided services, we've got our student disability support services to ensure that neurodiverse students are well supported and any academic criteria can be tailored or met to you. We've got financial support services if you find yourself in a bit of a tough time there. We've got tech support services, and I often hit up our IT team. Technology seems to hate me. So if you find yourself a little bit like me, we've got people to help you with that. And of course, we've got tons of personal services, so Te Papa Manaki and Uni Guides, to name a few. We also have student hubs, which I encourage you to make your best friend, because any question you have on campus, whether it be what is the support service or what papers do I need to enroll in, you can go and visit them, and they will either be able to assist you or point you in the right direction. This is important no matter where you go in life. If you need help, make sure you ask. You don't have to go through it alone. And certainly if you come to us, we have set our services up to ensure that you won't. Amazing. Now, onto one of my absolute favorite parts of the evening, which is hearing directly from our students. You've heard from me and our team of advisors about the offerings we have, the programs, what you might need to do to get in. But you haven't heard the exact lived experience yet, and that is what brings university life to life. So I'm really pleased to introduce our student panel tonight. They're here to share their honest experiences of studying at the University of Auckland and give you a real sense of what it's like to transition from school to university, so you can try and envision yourself in their shoes. Our hope is that through hearing their stories, you'll gain practical insights and feel more connected and confident within your next steps. So I'm going to hand it over to them to introduce themselves. I'm not going to do that for them, and then we'll get straight into the questions.
Kia ora everybody, it's so lovely to be here with you tonight. My name is Hannah and I'm in my 4th year. I'm studying a conjoint of a Bachelor of Health Science and then a Bachelor of Leadership, which I major in Communications. And I would like to call Wellington a wee bit of my home. I was born here. I lived here for a whole 10 weeks before I moved to a very small town called Alexandra, which is near Queenstown. But my family have now moved back to Wellington 2 months ago. So I saw my new family house for the first time yesterday, which is super exciting. So I feel like I've come almost a wee bit back home. So it's lovely to be here with you all tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Yang Yang. I'm a 2nd year student at UOA and I'm doing a Bachelor of Law and a Bachelor of Commerce. Under the Bachelor of Commerce, I'm majoring in accounting and marketing, so I'm doing a triple major. I stayed in Waiparuru last year, so if you want any advice, you can always come to me afterwards. And I actually grew up in Palmy, so I consider Wellington a neighbor. I used to come frequently for shopping day trips with my friends by taking the train. And somehow all of my biology field trips always took place in Wellington. So I've been to the zoo if that helps with my experience. And I used to always come down here for dance competitions and scholarship nominations as well.
Incredible. Thanks for introducing yourself, guys. So, on to the questions. When making any big life decision, and this is advice I got from my gran, so I always take it close to heart, you always need to consider your why. So what is it that drove you to make the choice or decision that you came to ensure that what that decision is well aligned with your own personal goals and values? Keeping that in mind, what was your why for this next big decision of where you chose to study? Why did you come to UOA?
I had 2 kind of main reasons, and they both centred around opportunity. The first one was the opportunity to meet such a new, broad range of people. Alexandra has a population of 5,000, whereas Auckland has a population of 1.6 million. And the diversity and the range of people I could meet and connect with in Auckland was just so much larger than back home. So that was one first big reason for moving up there. And secondly is the opportunity for personal and professional growth and development. The range of organisations you can get involved with in paid work or volunteering work or through internships, which we can get help facilitating through our university studies as well as the opportunities just to grow in terms of joining clubs and things within such a big and diverse city was one of my main reasons for going.
Alongside what Hannah said, so opportunities, I came for 2 additional reasons. The first being the location. I've always been a city girl, so that only left me with Otago, Victoria, and Auckland to choose from. Otago was a bit too cold and too far from my family, so immediately ruled that out. And Wellington was too close to my family. And, you know, I wanted a sense of independence when I moved for my next journey. So that really left me with Auckland. Not that that's a bad thing or anything. The second reason was because of where I want to take my career. So eventually, after I graduate, I want to go to Hong Kong to become a corporate lawyer or like a commercial lawyer, so like in the corporate field. And because of the proximity of the commercial hub next to the university, I saw it as an opportunity to be able to form those foundations in the commerce world before stepping out into, you know, the legal field. And through my first year, I saw that opportunity come forward. This is a bit of a flex, but I was able to get 4 mentors from the Big Four, so PwC, Deloitte, EY, and KPMG, just in my first year because of how many connections we have with the business school and the actual professional firms.
Oh my gosh, absolutely incredible. I feel like I need to do commercial law or something now. Wow, can I meet them? But no, as you can see from those answers, there's so much diversity in the why. So to any future students in this room, please consider your why. Take this decision seriously, and wherever you go, make sure it's aligned to you. So you guys have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience in terms of coming to university. So what advice would you give to someone who might be starting their first year with us next year?
One piece of advice I would give to first-year students is to not take failure as such a bad thing. Rather, you should take it as a learning opportunity. And I know that sounds super cliche. I thought the same thing when I was going into uni. But genuinely, there is a big step between high school and uni. And that's not necessarily from the academic pressure that you might experience, but also the external factor of having a newfound sense of independence. So you don't have parents and teachers hovering over you anymore. You get to make your own decisions on whether you decide to skip lectures or not. And unfortunately, those have bad results sometimes. I experienced them. So a bit of personal experience. For my first law essay, I got a 63, which is just a C+. Quite unfortunate, but rather than taking it to heart and undermining my ability and my capabilities, I decided to treat it as a learning opportunity. So for my next legal essay, I consulted my mentors and my tutors and tried to really learn the way that the law school wants us to write the essays. Because that's also something that's different from high school. In high school, I learned that the more content you knew, the better grades you would get. However, unfortunately, in uni, it's more so about how you communicate those ideas, especially in law. So taking that advice on board and treating my original failure as a learning opportunity, for my next law essay, I was able to be one of the 10 people to get an A+ for it. So I made the impossible into the possible, and that was from having a shift of mind from treating failure as a negative thing to a positive thing for your own personal development.
Yes. I'm going to build off my previous answer, and my advice would be to take the opportunities that come your way. As we've mentioned, uni isn't all about just studying and going to lectures, although it is very important, and I did feel the repercussions of not going to one of my lectures before my exam last week, but that's okay. Yes, and it is the opportunity of taking, the way you can take the opportunities that come your way, and you might find a newfound passion of yours that you didn't have the opportunity to start up in high school. You might find people that you didn't know existed in the world to become your new best friends, and you might find roles or careers that might become your dream for after you finish uni. So take those opportunities. You never know where they might lead you.
Oh, what a lovely segue for me. I love how you ended that. So speaking of opportunities, I'm going to jump on that, Hannah. Can you guys tell us about some opportunities that you've taken up during your studies with us?
I've had 2 major opportunities since studying at UOA. Both of them are within the business realm. First being the Business Navigators program. So this was introduced last year as almost a different course for the future entrepreneurs of Aotearoa. And have you guys heard of Crimson Education? Yes? So we were fortunate enough to have the CEOs come in and speak to us and deviate away from the usual lecture style teaching to more of a Harvard case study style teaching. So in that class, we analyzed business cases, and our classes were phrased almost like a class debate. So it wasn't just writing down notes all the time. Matter of fact, we weren't even allowed to bring our notebooks in. And surprisingly, that really facilitated our learning from that class. And throughout that program as well, we were able to hear from various guest speakers. This year, we had Samantha Hayes, Kieran Reid, Dan Carter, and Tim Brown, the previous captain of the All Whites, was also our lecturer for that course, which was pretty amazing. And we also heard from the CEO of Zuru and various other CEOs as well. So that was a pretty amazing course to be a part of. My second opportunity was being selected for the development program for the CASE program this year. So I was one of the 16 selected, and basically, as a part of the CASE program, you crack business cases. You get a business case, and then you propose strategies, and then afterwards, you have a 10-minute presentation and then a 10-minute Q&A session. And a part of the judging panel, you have industry professionals. So you can also make connections through doing cases as well. So next semester, I'll be going to the University of Otago, fully sponsored by the business school as a part of this program. And then eventually, I'll be able to go to Australia as a part of the Trans-Tasman competitions. And then hopefully in the future, international competitions such as Denmark, Hong Kong, and Thailand.
Beautiful. My first really cool experience came from high school, and I was extremely lucky and fortunate to be awarded one of our Top Achievers scholarships. So that fully paid for my first year in Waiparuru Hall, which was awesome. I had a great time. And it also gave me a little spending money on the side, which was lovely as well. So yes, my first year was spent in Waiparuru, or Waipa, as it's often called by the people who live there. And living there was awesome. I met the people who I now flat with, which was fantastic. I got a taster of living with them, and now I've had 2 years of really living with them. They're awesome. And just other friends and opportunities that you can make and meet along the way as well. In my second year of university, I was also very lucky. I went on exchange to the University of Edinburgh for my second semester. So I was in Edinburgh for just shy of 5 months, I'm pretty sure. And I was there over Christmas and New Year's. And it was a fantastic time. It was probably the best time of my life. When you're on exchange, we would go to class Monday to Friday and then go to Paris or Spain or Denmark from Friday to Sunday and just trip around Europe with all of our new friends, which was a fantastic experience to have at 20. Some other cool experiences at the uni are our 400 clubs. Can't say I've been to most of them, but I am a member of the University of Auckland's No Sports Association, and we have a lodge on Whakapapa, which we can go to and ski at, which is fantastic, and it's a great place to meet like-minded people. I'm also the Student Advisory Group representative for the Population Health Students Association. Sorry, that's a tongue twister. But that's really cool because I get to go to meetings with all of the heads of the population health degree and hear about all these newfound changes which are coming up, which is super, super cool and exciting. And a last really interesting experience and opportunity that I've had is the Summer Research Scholarship. So that would come a couple of years into your study if you were interested, and pretty much the university will pay you to work under one of your lecturers and be their research assistant pretty much for the summer. So I got to research into rural medical placements for fifth-year medical students and get to go to conferences, and our research will be published in journals coming up later on this year, which is just a super cool thing to have on your CV or an experience to have had when you're still studying as a student. The last thing that I should talk about, sorry I forgot this one earlier as well, is we get internships through some of our classes in the uni. So one of my population health classes, I got a internship or placement at Auckland City Hospital with their hospital operations general manager. So 2 from the top at one of our biggest hospitals in the country working under him. So that is just an amazing experience and one of the ones that you can get at the university.
Absolutely incredible. So as you can see, there really is more than just lectures, and you guys have really seized some awesome opportunities. Got a bit of a challenge for you guys now, just because I am aware we're running slightly behind schedule. So for the last question, final question for you, going to make it really nice and quick fire. You both had to move up to Auckland. What was that transition like, and how did you find it? How was settling in, and is there any advice you might give to students who may be doing the same?
It's undeniably hard. Can't sugarcoat it. You are moving away from your friends and your family that you've been with for the past 18 years of your life. But it is one of the best things that I think someone can do for themselves in these years when you are really building yourself as a person. Getting the experience to do that is just awesome. It's amazing. I would say one piece of advice for you would be, remember that everybody in your first year is in the same boat, especially if you're in halls of residence. Everyone has moved away from their family for most of you the first time, and everybody's nervous and scared and doesn't know who to talk to and shy, and it's just taking the opportunity and speaking to people, especially when you first move up to Auckland, and knowing that everyone's in the same boat, but don't be afraid of it.
The move up for me logistically wasn't that hard. I just packed my whole room into 3 checked baggages, so that part was easier than Hannah's move to Auckland. The biggest struggle for me was stepping outside of my comfort zone. In high school, my high school experience was quite regrettable now that I reflect back upon it. I was quite a reserved person, and that's not a bad thing, but because I had that mental barrier, it held me from taking advantage of the opportunities that I was interested in. Because, in New Zealand, we have something called the tall poppy syndrome. And as we've been taught it in primary school, it can seem as such a childish concept, but that's genuinely a mental barrier that everyone has to deal with for, I would say, their whole lives until you manage to take yourselves outside of that box. So when I moved to uni, my biggest goal that I'd set for myself was to step outside of my comfort zone and to push myself to take advantage of every opportunity that I was given. And as a result, I was a part of the Business Navigators program, and then I signed up for the executive team even though I had no marketing experience, got the role, and this year I was able to be offered an internship in a startup because I had taken advantage of that opportunity. So I think just to summarize that up, my biggest advice would to be, even though the feeling of comfort is good, I miss the sense of comfort I get from my parents when they cut me up fruit during my study sessions. It's good, but don't confine yourself to staying in a box because you're used to that comfort, If you don't step outside of the box, you won't be able to shape the dream life that you want. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for your generosity of knowledge and for sharing those experiences. We really appreciate it. All right. I promise we are nearly done, guys. Thank you so much for being so patient and so attentive. So on to these next few slides. We need the phones out so this can go nice and quick, so you've got the resources we've created back for you to refer onto. This is a really handy application to enrollment checklist and step-by-step guide of what you are currently potentially sitting on in terms of your pathway to university study and where you are headed. We're currently probably sitting in that purple and blue area, just keeping in mind those key dates. Purple if you've exploring, and blue if you've already applied, making sure we're all starting to enter that blue stage soon, please, so we can access those school leaver scholarships, which have applications that close on... I heard someone say 12th of August, so I'll take it. It was nice and silent. You've got the benefit of not having a mic. So 12th of August, exactly. 11:59 a.m., sun is in the sky. I'm having my second morning coffee, and you have already submitted your applications well in advance, so your endorsers had the opportunity to submit those too. Keeping in mind that your accommodation applications also need to be in before then. This resource, you've taken a nice photo of it, so you can go back and refer to it when it becomes relevant to you. The next thing to keep in mind is we've got loads of different events throughout the year, and one of the things that we've been talking about quite a bit is taking opportunities, so make sure you take the opportunity to engage. If you scan the QR code on the screen, it'll take you to our events page, which lists all our events we have on offer from our office, both in person and online. So, for example, the scholarships webinar will be there. Make sure you register for those. Speaking of events, we have our Manawa Mai Open Day, which is our flagship event of the year. It's when you get to come onto campus, experience what it's like, really get to see if what that environment is something that could fulfill your why. You can really speak to different students, you can go to the faculty, speak to lecturers, walk through accommodation, hiwa. There's also loads of activations, tons of free stuff if that's something that motivates you. Look at the Unleashed space, see the 3D printers, and have a bit of fun. Highly encourage you to come along, and if you do come along, our team is quite involved with it, so if you see any of our faces, please say hi. That's always an exciting thing to see one of the people we've engaged with on the road. And if you do decide to come up and you end up flying up, we know that we'll be having quite a lot of people join us from the airport, so we've arranged for free buses for anyone who's travelling up to Open Day. You can catch one from Auckland Airport to our campus and back if you need. Just make sure you register with registrations opening on the 29th of June, but if you scan those QR codes and you've looked at those event page, you already know. Alrighty, I told you we were close. That is all from us in terms of the core content that we have to offer. It has been absolutely amazing speaking to you guys. Best of luck with your future, no matter where it takes you.
Hei, whakamutunga I tēnei hui tēnei pō me karikia tātou. Kia ora te marino, kia whakapapa pauna mutu mōna, hei huarahi mā tātou i te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai tātou, ia tātou katoa, haumie huie, tai ki e. Kia ora everybody, thank you for coming. Cheers.